Welcome to 7 Days of English channel.
Hey there. Before we dive in, let me just say, I'm really glad you're here. Yeah, you sitting there, maybe with a cup of coffee, or just scrolling through podcasts hoping something feels right today. Whether you came looking for a little inspiration or you accidentally clicked on this because your thumb slipped, either way, welcome. Let's talk about confidence. Now, don't roll your eyes just yet. I know. It's one of those words that's been tossed around so much, it almost feels fake, like glitter on a motivational poster. But stay with me here, because I want to talk about confidence the way it actually shows up in real life. Not the loud, perfect, stand on a stage and own it kind. I'm talking about the quieter kind. The kind that whispers, hey, maybe you can try this, when everything inside you is screaming, nope, you're gonna fail. The kind that doesn't show up with trumpets and banners, but tiptoes in during the moments when you least expect it. That kind? So let's rewind a little. Let me introduce you to someone. Her name's Emily. She's not a celebrity. You won't find her giving TED Talks or leading million-dollar seminars. She's just a regular human. Works in marketing. Loves chai lattes. Kinda hates networking events. Has a cat named Beans and once tried to bake sourdough during the pandemic. It went terribly. But here's the thing. For most of her life, Emily thought she just wasn't one of those people. You know the type? Confident, radiant, always knowing what to say. The kind of person who walks into a room and somehow everyone notices. Emily? She was the type to walk into a room and immediately scan for the quietest corner. But something changed. Not overnight, not with some big dramatic movie scene. It started with a tiny moment. A Tuesday morning. An ordinary one. She was sitting at her desk, sipping bad office coffee, half reading an email thread, when her manager popped his head in and said, "Hey, quick thing. We've got a client pitch this Friday. Would you be up for leading it?" And just like that, boom, her heart dropped. All those old voices came crawling out of the woodwork. You're not good at public speaking. You'll mess it up. Why would they listen to you? But for some reason, maybe it was the fact that she hadn't slept well, or maybe she was just tired of listening to that same old voice. She said, "Yeah, sure," and immediately regretted it, of course. But that moment, that one moment of saying yes before her fear could catch up, that was the crack in the wall. The first step, the first shaky, sweaty palmed, what the heck am I doing step, and that's where our story really begins. Because what happened next wasn't some magical transformation. Emily didn't suddenly turn into Wonder Woman overnight. She panicked. She doubted herself. She overprepared. She rehearsed in the shower. She whispered her lines while brushing her teeth. She almost backed out. But she showed up. And that, not the perfect delivery, not the applause, not the client's reaction. That was the moment everything started to shift. She showed up. So in this series, I'm going to walk you through Emily's journey, the real messy, often funny road from self-doubt to self-trust. And along the way, maybe, just maybe, you'll find pieces of your own story in hers. Because this isn't really just about Emily, or confidence, or public speaking. It's about you. And that little voice inside that keeps asking, could I be more than I think I am? Let's find out together. Let's go back. Way back. Because no one's born afraid to speak up. You didn't pop out into this world thinking, I better keep my head down and avoid attention. Nah, babies cry whenever they want. Toddlers ask why 1,000 times a day. Kids put on capes and declare themselves superheroes without a second thought. So, what happens? When did I can become I don't think I'm good enough? For Emily, it started early. 3rd grade. A classroom full of laminated posters, the smell of pencil shavings, and a teacher with a smile that didn't always reach her eyes. There was a presentation about sea animals. Emily picked sea otters because they were cute and floated on their backs like little fluffy boats. She practiced, wrote down her notes, read them to her mom twice, and then she stood in front of the class. Hands sweaty, knees wobbly, voice gone. She froze. Someone giggled. A boy in the back whispered something. Her face flushed. Her teacher gave her a soft pat on the back and told her it was okay. But it didn't feel okay. It felt like failure. That night, as she lay in bed, a quiet sentence slipped into her brain and stayed. I'm not good at speaking. Now, did anyone say that to her directly? No. But that's how shame works. It doesn't need a full sentence, just a moment, a glance, a tone, a laugh, and it sticks. That one thought, I'm not good at this, started to multiply. Over time, it became a pattern. She stopped raising her hand in class, just in case. She avoided group projects where she'd have to present. She learned to laugh it off. Oh, I'm terrible at talking in front of people. As if it were just a quirky personality trait. And life kept reinforcing that belief. Like the time in high school when she wrote a killer paper but couldn't speak up in class discussion. Or in college when she skipped the debate club even though she secretly wanted to try. By the time she hit her 20s, self-doubt had woven itself into her personality like wallpaper. Not loud, not dramatic, just always there. Background noise. But here's the sneaky part. It wasn't just about public speaking. That one moment in third grade had spilled over into other areas. Relationships, job interviews, saying no, asking for help. Every time she faced something new, that old voice whispered, "Careful, you're probably not cut out for this." And when you hear that voice long enough, you start to trust it more than yourself. But where does that voice even come from? Well, it's not just from one place. Some of it comes from school. Moments like Emily's sea otter speech. Some from family, well-meaning parents who tried to keep you realistic. Some from media, those perfect images of success and beauty and confidence that feel impossible to reach. And a lot of it comes from repetition. The more often we think, I can't, the more that thought becomes familiar, safe, comfortable. Even if it hurts, it becomes our default setting. But, and this is a big but, here's the good news, if we learned to doubt ourselves, we can unlearn it too. It's not permanent, it's not destiny, it's not written in your DNA. Self-doubt is just a story. One you started telling yourself a long time ago. And stories, no matter how old, can be rewritten. Here's the thing, nobody tells you self-confidence doesn't show up with a parade. It sneaks in. Quiet, clumsy, almost forgettable at first. For Emily, it started with a list. Yep, a simple list on her phone, titled Things I Did Anyway. She didn't mean for it to become anything big. It started after that pitch meeting, the one she survived, despite the shaking hands and the weird cough in the middle of her opening line. Later that night, still buzzing, still unsure if it even went well, she opened her notes app and typed, led the client pitch, didn't faint. Then the next week, said hi to someone new at work, didn't implode. Next, posted a comment in the team chat without triple-checking the grammar. And so it went. Not exactly groundbreaking stuff, but that was the point. Because every time she wrote something down, she had proof. Tiny proof, but real. Proof that she showed up. Even when she didn't feel ready. Even when the voice in her head, Debbie, as she later named it, said don't. You'll mess it up. See, Emily wasn't trying to become fearless. She was just trying to stop letting fear make all the decisions. Bit by bit, that list became her new story. Instead of, I'm terrible at speaking, it was, I speak, and I survive. Instead of, people think I'm awkward, it was, some people connect with me, and some don't. That's okay. She didn't need 100 people to cheer her on. Sometimes, all it took was one reminder. You've done hard things before. But there were wobbles. Of course there were. Like the time she volunteered to lead a workshop and panicked halfway through because the projector stopped working and she couldn't remember the next slide. Or when she gave feedback to a colleague and immediately worried she sounded mean, even though she was calm and kind the whole time. Confidence isn't linear. Some days you feel like Beyoncé, other days you feel like a soggy sock. But Emily kept writing things down. Even the wobbly wins. Froze in front of the workshop class. Breathed, recovered, finished anyway. Gave feedback, felt weird, didn't apologize for existing. Over time, those little lines added up. It wasn't therapy, though she did start going, eventually. Shout out to her therapist, Lisa. It wasn't some $300 confidence course. It wasn't 10 rules to success. It was just attention. Intentional, gentle attention to the moments she usually ignored. And something else started to shift too. She began catching the old voice. Debbie, before it took over. Like when she'd say, I'm just bad at this, she'd pause and ask, am I? Or am I just new at this? Or when she'd think, everyone's judging me, she'd ask, can I name even one person who said that? No, then maybe, just maybe, it's not true. That's how you rewrite the script. Not with a bulldozer, but with a pencil. Softly, gently, one scribbled note at a time. All right, here we go. Remember that big challenge Emily was eyeing? Well, it showed up. A few weeks after that client pitch, her manager pulled her aside, casual as ever, and said, there's an industry event next month, big crowd. They want someone to present our case study on stage. 15 minutes, live audience. You interested? Emily smiled like a person who totally wasn't about to throw up. Stage, audience, microphone? Oh no. Her old friend Debbie? She came sprinting out of retirement. You're gonna bomb. They'll see right through you. You'll trip on the microphone wire and die. Probably. But Emily didn't blurt out a no like she would have in the past. She paused, breathed, and said, can I sleep on it? That night, instead of spiraling like a carnival ride stuck on full speed, she lit a candle, made some sleepy tea, and opened her Did It Anyway list. There it was. Line after line of small wins. Moments she showed up scared but didn't run. Times she stayed in the room even when everything inside her wanted to leave. She didn't feel fearless. But she did feel something else. A little grounded, a little stronger, a little more like, maybe I could? So the next morning, with that soft bravery in her gut, she said yes. And then she practiced a lot. She talked to her plants. She rehearsed in front of her mirror. She recorded herself and cringed at the sound of her own voice, then recorded again. She practiced standing still. No fidgeting, no dancing around like she was on fire, just still. She even presented to her cat, Beans, who, for the record, was wildly unimpressed. On the big day, she was terrified. Her blazer had a wrinkle that refused to leave. Her palms were sweaty. Her heart was doing acrobatics. Her throat felt like sandpaper. But she stepped up. She walked on stage, blinking under the lights, and looked out at a sea of faces. And here's the wild part. The words came. Her voice trembled at first. Of course it did. But after 10 seconds, it steadied. She caught someone nodding. Another person smiled. By minute 6, she wasn't just surviving. She was enjoying herself. When it ended, the applause wasn't thunderous, no confetti cannons or standing ovation, but it was real. And Emily stood there, heart pounding, hands still trembling slightly, and thought, I did it. Not, I crushed it, or I'm amazing, just, I did it. And that was enough. She walked off stage, not transformed, not cured of all insecurity, but shifted, because now she had a memory, a new story, one that said, I can do hard things, even with shaking hands. So here's something no one warned you about. Just because you did something brave once doesn't mean it gets easier every time. Confidence? It's not a staircase you climb one step at a time, always going up. It's more like a trampoline. Some days you bounce higher. Some days you land funny. Some days you sit on the edge wondering why you even got on in the first place. A few weeks after the big presentation, Emily was feeling pretty solid. She'd said yes, she'd survived, she'd gotten a couple of LinkedIn messages from people at the event saying, "Great talk." And let me tell you, those messages, she reread them more times than she'd admit. So when her manager asked her to lead another internal workshop, smaller group, just the team, she said yes right away. She even showed up early, set up the slides, brought donuts, wore her I have my life together blouse. And then everything went sideways. Her laptop froze 5 minutes in. Someone in the front row kept yawning. She stumbled over a word, then another. Debbie showed up again, not with a bang, but with a whisper. See? You were never that good. Last time was a fluke. You're losing them. And Emily? She spiraled. She rushed through the rest of the session, forgot a key point, closed the workshop 10 minutes early, and practically ran out of the room. Later that night, she curled up on the couch, hoodie up, scrolling TikTok to numb the embarrassment. That little voice, the one she'd started to quiet, was back, louder than ever. You're not cut out for this. Why did you think you could do this more than once? But here's where the story shifts. Because instead of deleting the "did it anyway" list, Emily opened it. And she added a new line. Choked in a team workshop, didn't die, showed up anyway. Because here's what she was learning. Confidence isn't about being amazing every time. It's about not giving up when you're not. It's about showing up to the next thing, even when the last one was awkward. It's about choosing grace over shame. And it's about knowing that one bad moment doesn't cancel out all the brave ones that came before. She told a friend about it, someone she trusted. And that friend said something she wouldn't forget. You're measuring your worth by how perfect you are, but I measure your courage by how human you're willing to be. Emily cried. Not the dramatic Hollywood kind, just a quiet tear or two. The kind that shows up when someone sees you, really sees you. And in that moment, she decided something. She wasn't going to aim for flawless. She was going to aim for real. And real people, they have messy days. They mess up presentations. They forget their lines. They freeze under pressure. But real people also try again. Emily used to think confidence was a solo sport. You train in silence. You coach yourself in the mirror. You power through the awkward moments and hope nobody notices how hard it is. But somewhere along the way, that idea started to crack. It happened one Friday afternoon. She was at a company mixer, the kind of thing she used to dread. Loud music, small talk, people clumped in circles talking about quarterly goals and weather patterns. Emily, predictably, lingered near the snacks. That's when one of her coworkers, Sarah from finance came up and said, "Hey, I saw your talk last month. It actually made me think maybe I could speak up more. Just wanted to say thanks." That was it. Just one sentence. But it hit Emily like a gust of wind on a hot day. Unexpected, refreshing, real. She smiled awkwardly, made a joke about almost fainting, and then spent the rest of the evening thinking about it. Because up until that moment, she thought her bravery only mattered to her. But now, someone else had seen it and felt it. That changed everything. The next week, Emily started being more intentional about the people she surrounded herself with. She reached out to an old college friend she hadn't spoken to in years, someone she remembered as kind and grounded. She joined a small group for creative professionals just to see what would happen. And she sent a message to Megan, a coworker who'd once mentioned she wanted to start a podcast but was too scared to sound stupid. Emily wrote, "You should do it. You've got the voice. And even if it flops, so what? I'll be your first listener." Megan didn't start the podcast right away, but she did reply with, "I needed that more than you know." And just like that, confidence became less about Emily and more about everyone. Because something beautiful happens when you stop seeing confidence as a badge of honor and start seeing it as a bridge. A way to connect. A way to say, "Hey, I've been there too." A way to tell someone, "You don't have to be fearless, just here." It wasn't about grand speeches or going viral. It was the quiet stuff, sending the encouraging text, asking the shy coworker to lunch, telling someone, "You did great," even if their voice shook. And slowly, like seeds planted in a wide open field, those moments grew. Emily's own confidence deepened, not because she was doing bigger things, but because she was doing smaller things that mattered to others, to herself, to the space in between. Not all wins make noise. Some don't come with applause, or gold stars, or even a good job from someone else. Some wins are so quiet, so personal, they're easy to miss, but they matter. Actually, they matter the most. For Emily, these wins started piling up in places no one was watching. Like the time she got an email that made her stomach twist. A vague, slightly aggressive complaint from a client. Old Emily would have panicked. Reread it 20 times. Drafted a response, deleted it, drafted again, deleted again. This time, she closed her laptop, made a sandwich, took a walk. Then, she came back and replied, once, kindly, clearly, without apologizing for existing. No one saw that. No one clapped. But it was a win. Or the time she said no to a project that didn't feel right. Not because she wasn't capable, but because she was exhausted. She didn't justify it with 20 reasons. She just said no. Again. No confetti, no high fives. But another quiet win. She started seeing them everywhere. Speaking up in a meeting, even if her voice shook. Not over-explaining when someone disagreed with her. Leaving a social event before she hit emotional burnout. Not after. Taking a real lunch break, phone down, mind present. Each time, it was like finding a little pebble on the path. Small, easy to overlook. But the more she collected, the more solid the ground beneath her felt. Because here's the truth. Confidence doesn't only live in the spotlight. It grows in private. In those decisions you make when no one's watching. In the way you talk to yourself after a rough day. In how you set boundaries even when it's uncomfortable. In choosing rest over perfection. In saying, "That's enough for today." Emily didn't post about these moments, didn't log them into her resume. But she felt them. They layered inside her, slowly reshaping how she moved through the world. Not louder, but steadier, not showier, but real. And over time, those quiet wins became her foundation. The part of her that didn't need external proof anymore. She was learning to trust herself, even when no one else could see the reason why. Let's drop the act for a second. Confidence? It's not what we thought it was. It's not standing tall every day. It's not perfect speeches, flawless selfies, or walking into every room like you own the place. Confidence. Real, bone-deep, life-changing confidence. Looks more like this. It's showing up on the day you'd rather disappear. It's trying again after something flops and resisting the urge to delete yourself from the internet. It's standing in front of the mirror, looking at your tired face and saying, "You're still doing great." It's not a performance. It's a relationship with yourself. And, like any relationship, it has seasons. Some days it feels strong and steady. Other days it's fragile, messy, uncertain. But the more you show up for yourself, the more you speak kindly, act bravely, rest when needed, the more trust you build. And that trust, that's the quiet fuel that keeps you going when nothing else works. Emily didn't become a confidence coach. She didn't write a viral book. She didn't wake up one day completely free of doubt. But she did keep showing up. In meetings, in friendships, in small choices that once terrified her. She built a kind of strength that no one could see, but everyone around her could feel. A groundedness, a calm, a softness that said, "I know who I am, even when I forget for a little while." And that changed everything. So if you've ever thought, "I'm just not the confident type," I'm here to tell you, confidence is not a type. It's a skill, a practice, a muscle you build by being a little braver than you feel again and again. It's already inside you. It's just been waiting for you to say, "Okay, I'm ready to try." Not ready to win. Not ready to impress. Just ready to try. And that's more than enough. Thank you so much for walking this path with me. If this story touched something in you, even a small part, I'd love it if you'd share it with someone else who needs to hear it. And if you want more stories like this, you know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, not just to this podcast, but to yourself, to your own worth, to your own becoming. You've already started, and trust me, you're doing better than you think.